Resurgent India Knowledge Series in association with Association of Financial Advisors of India presents Virtual Session on Adapting to Change, New Funding Frontiers for NBFCs in FY25. Moderator Mr. Ashish Agrawal, Director, Resurgent India Limited. Eminent speakers Mr. Ashok Mittal, Managing Director and CEO, Prius Loans. Mr. Durgeshwar Mishra, CEO, Sublakshmi Finance. Mr. Vijendra Shekhawat, CEO and Director, Choice Finserv Private Limited.
Yeah, good evening, friends. So, I would like to welcome to all of you, specifically to the panel speakers who are basically veteran in the lending business since last many years. So, the today's webinar, which the Resurgent India has organized, this is organized keeping in mind the resources available or whatever the resources are required by the NBFCs for lending. What are the resources available? What are the challenges are coming? Which are the new areas of raising resources? And how the NBFCs are approaching to the different kind of segments of the lenders and investors for raising resources. So friends, this today's topic is I think very important in the current scenario where the NBFCs are basically, if you see, the ultimate lender to the small borrowers in the different geographies, in the areas where the people who are not having the access of banking funding, the NBFCs are going there, they are funding to them at their doorstep, which is very important for the financial inclusion of our country, for the economic growth of the country. We want to reach to the 7 trillion economy very soon. This is also important. Without reaching to the last mile of the borrower or the consumer, it is very difficult to have the holistic growth of the country actually. So the NBFCs are doing a lot actually, and they have done a lot also. So in the today's webinar, we will try to discuss that how they are helping the ultimate borrowers and the economy also. So friends, we have prepared a small PPT which I will run through. But before that, I would like to say that the NBFCs are raising resources from the banking and from other sources. So practically, they are the proxy of the banks, where the banks are giving money and they are lending to the small borrowers where the banks cannot reach. So ultimately, you see who is the beneficiary. Practically, if you see the ultimate borrower, and the banks are the beneficiary of it actually. So banks have supported a lot. I will discuss in my PPT that how this NBFC funding from the banks have grown in last 4 or 5 years, and how they have supported, which are the multiple products also. So I will request to my team to run through the small PPT, which will give you some idea that how we are basically taking the money from the different sources for our lending business. So there are different options for next slide. There are, so if you see in the current scenario, there are many such options are there for NBFCs to raise money and to lend money also. And the technology is playing an important role also. So we see the bank loans is a traditional way of raising or taking money from the banks and then lending to the small borrowers. Banks have supported a lot. NCDs and CPs, this is another form of borrowing where the NBFCs which are having certain threshold, they are raising money from the capital market, where the players are like insurance company, mutual funds, and the PF funds and other institutions are there, and the individual investors. So that the beauty of this capital market funding is that individual investors can also invest or take the exposure in the NCDs. And the RBI has come out with a new regulation where even 10,000 rupees can be the minimum amount for the investment in the NCDs, which was earlier 1 lakh rupees. So the RBI and the government is having very much intention or interested to have the participation from the retail investors in the NCD market actually. If you see in equity, the 15 crore demat accounts are there as of today. And these 15 crores demat account holder are eligible for investment in the NCD also. And you see that as of today, the number is very less, but with the new digital technology platforms which have been launched and RBI has approved them or give them the license, like OBPP license, these platforms are creating the ecosystem where you can invest in the NCD with the click of button. So this is a good tool now where technology is playing an important role, where the individual investors or HNI or the corporates can invest while sitting at home, and they can take the advantage of the higher yield on the investment. So if you see in the NCD of the NBFCs and the corporates, there is always a benefit of maybe 1.5 to 2% rate of interest in comparison to the other traditional product like FDs and all. So this is a good tool which I think we'll understand from our these speakers also, how they are using in their NBFC business for one of the tool for raising resources. But I think this will grow very fast after these new platforms which have come, and they are bringing the investors on the platform and investing through the click of button. Then there is an ecosystem where the large NBFCs, those are having the larger amount of equity and they have larger size of the book. So they have the model where they are lending to the small NBFCs. So this is also prevalent in the system, and there are many such cases are there. So these are, I will say, the traditional way of borrowing from the different sources by the NBFCs, but the digital or technology playing an important role in all these areas, so that the delivery is very fast and the reach is also possible. Then, other than that, if we come on the evolving the evolving areas or evolving sources for the funding, so the securitization, this DA and PTC, where the NBFCs are selling their portfolio to the different banks or different other participants. This is also growing, although this is there in the system last many years, but the volumes are growing very fast in last 3-4 years. In last 3-4 years, we will discuss on that also, which is another tool for raising money by the NBFCs. Co-lending is one of the new baby in the entire ecosystem, where it has only 3 to 4 years journey till now, but the results are very good. RBI is intended to get more and more co-lending between banks and NBFCs and NBFC to NBFCs. So co-lending is nothing; it's just the sharing of the portfolio by the banks and NBFCs, where the banks can be the 80% partner, and NBFC can be the 20% partner. That's the minimum requirement. And this co-lending is growing like anything. So as per RBI circular of 2020, November 2020, there are two models of co-lending where the NBFC and banks can come together and can lend to the small borrowers in the different cities and different geographies. And if you see till today, there are more than 100 co-lending partnerships are there in the country between banks and NBFCs. And the book which has been, I think, done, the total book which is there is something around 1 lakh crore in last 3-4 years actually. Practically, if you see, it was 25,000 crore in last March 2023, but it has reached to 1 lakh crore now basically. So it's a threefold increase in the book actually. Is a big thing, and we are hoping that it will grow further also. So this is another good tool where there is no limitation of the exposure norms, or there is no limitation of size and all. So there are many advantages are there. We will discuss with our the speakers that how the co-lending is helping them also. Then because in any organization there are two areas of funding. One is debt and equity. Another is equity. So the private equity is another area where they have to balance it, because as per the prudential norms, they have to keep minimum capital adequacy ratio of 15%. So the NBFCs are now raising a lot of money through the private equity. We have seen IPOs also. In very recent past, we have seen some 4-5 IPOs, Aadhar Housing, India Shelter. There are many other names are there. So IPOs are also happening. So this is another tool for raising money. They can do follow-on issue also. Another area is ECB, external commercial borrowing via the GIFT City. So the government of India has set up this separate country within country, basically this separate center, financial center, where the corporates or the NBFCs can raise foreign money at the reasonable cost for their funding requirement. So the NBFCs are raising money through ECB also. And then the development financial institutions. So this is another source of funding where lot of developmental financial institutions like SIDBI, NABARD in India, and there are very many foreign institutions like ADB, IFC, and there are many other institutions which are helping or they are giving money to the NBFCs for further lending because they want that India should have the advantage of this money where they can give this money to the small borrowers and they can grow in their businesses or they can do better and better in their life cycle actually. So these are the areas where we will discuss in detail what are the advantage and disadvantage of these various sources of funding. Friends, so if we see this banking funding, this practically if you see this is growing like anything in last 4 years, we see the chart, it has grown for 4x actually. So banks, it's not like that banks are not supporting. Banks have supported a lot and still banks are supporting to the sector. And it's a win-win for both of them. It's not like that they're supporting actually this where the banks are also earning money. The NPAs are almost negligible. If you see last 4 or 5 years journey, practically the whatever the money they have given to NBFCs, they are not having any major default and delays in the NBFC lending actually. So it's good for banks also that they are getting good portfolio while lending to NBFC. And ABC mutual fund exposure, which is into NCDs and all, it is reduced to some extent actually, but this was because of maybe ILFS and the DHFL, but now it's growing actually. So hopefully this segment of the investors will also grow in this lending side actually. So these are some of the statistics which will help you to know that the different categories of the lenders, how they are helping to the NBFCs. Next. Yeah, next slide. So friends, these are some of the concerns, particularly if you see, I think everybody is aware, RBI is always supporting to the industry, but they want that this should be balanced actually. So in last 3, 6, 7 months, if you see, the RBI has come out with some of the guidelines, some of the regulation, where they have this concern that the banks lending to NBFC should be reasonable or should be I think in such a manner where the banks would not having any risk on their portfolio, on their asset side. So because of this, the RBI has come out with a regulation where they have increased the risk weight on certain sector of the NBFC, where the banks have to keep more capital before lending on lending to NBFC actually. So that's the one area which is I think the new thing which RBI has come out and banks are following this thing and this might impact the cost of the NBFC to some extent or maybe some the borrowing quantum to the larger NBFC might impact because of this region actually. So this we need to keep in mind. And then you see that State Bank of India has recently, we have seen some news article that they have come out with something like that, that the minimum exposure of one bank should not be less than 10% in the NBFC by banks. So this is something new which has not, I think, approved or confirmed, but this was a thought which the State Bank of India has given to RBI. Depend on RBI how they will take it and all basically, but what will be the repercussions of this? We have to discuss. We have to discuss with our panel speakers whether this is possible or this is not possible. So we will discuss on that, and we see the credit exposure of the various sectors of NBFC and the consumer exposure and all, consumer credit and all, where I think the RBI has major concerns. So definitely it will impact a lot. But I hope that the lending which into priority sector and which is to the small borrowers for the business purpose will not have much of the impact because of these guidelines or the I think RBI issued a directive. So let's see that how it will impact and what are the views of our speakers. Next slide. So our recommendation is just our thought actually that what should be the options for the NBFCs. So they should have the less reliance on the bank funding because you've seen that the RBI increase the risk weight and all, and other than that, also the banks are having full of exposure in terms of the ceiling prescribed by their board in terms of the NBFC lending. So these two things might impact the further borrowing from the banks. So the NBFCs, which are having very large exposure from the banking system, they should see the other sources of funding. They should go for the new venues, which is ECBs and DFI funding. And this definitely this pool buyout and pool sellout is another area which is important also. Then NCD market through these digital lending platforms and co-lending, these can be the good tool also. And there are certain questions which are there in the mind of the NBFC, the players actually they will discuss. They have certain notions about the co-lending or the other funding options basically, where we will discuss in detail. And so ultimate view which we have that we should start as early as possible that NBFC, whether small, mid and large. I think everybody has to do the brainstorming. Everybody has to think of where they want to reach in next 5 years and what are the funding options available for them. And they should start betting on these funding options because the money is raw material for you. Without money, your business cannot grow actually. So I think this is an important area which need to be discussed, debated, and should make a clear goal and clear strategy also where we want to reach and which are the sources available. You should also use all the means because the getting funding is not a one-day job actually. You have to do a lot of hand-holding, lot of PR, and lot of meetings with the lenders and investors. So as early as you can start, I think this will be helpful actually. Next slide. So thank you very much. So friends, this is something which we thought, I think keeping in mind the current topic or today's topic, it is important to know by all of you so that the speakers who are there, they can comment on it or they can discuss on it and they can, because they are practitioners, so they can give us the advantage and disadvantage of the areas of funding actually. So friends, now I'll invite all our panel speakers. So the beauty of the today's panel speakers are that basically that they all are having the very good background of working in the banks or the NBFCs where they have built up very large portfolio. They have seen the ground reality also. They have a lot of money also. And then they have started their own journey and they are running their organization. They're growing it also. So all three are having very good hands-on experience. So I think this will be helpful. So we will learn from them. We understand from them how the journey was earlier and how this journey is now basically. So I would like to invite our first panel speaker, Mr. Ashok Mittalji. Ashokji, the MD and CEO of a company called Press Loan. His company name is, I think, Press Loan is a brand, and his company name is, I think, Lord Krishna. So the name is Lord Krishna. So I think that's a very good name also. So Ashokji, first of all, welcome to you and thank you very much for joining with us in this today's webinar. So Ashokji, the keeping in mind is today's topic and your experience, we would like to, I think our audience would like to understand from you what was your journey and what kind of challenges you have faced there. And in the current organization, current this Press Loan, how you are growing and what are the innovative ways of funding which you are using so that the other people who are aspiring the entrepreneurs, those want to come to into NBFC space, but those are already there, they would learn that what are the additional tools for them for raising funds. So over to you, Ashokji, and thank you to you.
Thank you very much, and I would like to really appreciate the effort being put by Resurgent India, also having me here. And let me start how our journey started and what are the challenges we faced. And I'm sure many other people who have started or planning to start will have similar kind of challenges. So we started somewhere in 2017. Very early 2018, we had to face ILFS and subsequent journey, which was very difficult. Especially focus was on ALM, where people wanted that your book should be absolutely aligned as far as asset and liability gap is there. You should not have any gap. Somehow we kind of handled it. And by the time we could manage and come out of this, we had COVID phase 1, then COVID wave 2, and it was really very difficult. For us, it was a little more difficult, largely because we started our journey in Delhi NCR area, and in all metros, similar to Delhi, the migrant population was a little higher. So because of that, people moved out and went to native places. So it was difficult to contact them. Subsequently, we changed the model a little bit, and that is what I would like to explain also. We moved a little more to diversify in terms of location as well as the product, and also the business model which we were doing. So 3 things we did. Number 1, we felt that instead of having a very skewed location to, let's say, Delhi NCR or metro or certain locations, let's diversify to multiple locations. So we opened Rajasthan, MP, Gujarat, UP, some around 35-40 locations, so that we are not really concentrated to one location or area. And in each of these states, we are almost equal in terms of business. That is one. Second was, we created a mix which was largely oriented towards small ticket, micro secured loan segment, where we are servicing tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns to smaller business people, especially the people who are not having strong financial documents with them. So they may not have ITR, GST, banking, but they have a good cash flow in their business with a significantly higher profit margins, which are visible. Within that, we also see that they must have one more stream of income, so they are not dependent on only one kind of business. Thirdly, we were earlier doing our business largely taking loans from banks or NBFC companies, which we call normally as term loan. But then we felt that this was not very scalable model, so we moved to from purely borrowing and lending to co-lending. Like Ashish ji explained, co-lending is largely 80-20 business, where larger partner, larger NBFC or bank will fund 80% of the loan and you contribute 20% of the loan. So we started on that. And then we also moved significantly to BC business. BC basically is co-lending in a 100-0 ratio, but then it works on FLDG model, where we take guarantee of the loan to certain extents. Now, the important aspect of FLDG is that if your business model, if your underwriting is good, then your loss is in a way limited to the extent of FLDG which you give. Of course, that 5 to 10% FLDG is significantly high. You can't afford losing that much money, but still you, from cash flow perspective, it makes a lot of sense. So these are the 3 things we have done. We have also kind of experimented with other debt instruments, like we have raised money by way of NCDs from individual retail kind of people, but they are through private placement. We have raised some amount by way of CCD, which are compulsory convertible debentures. We have raised some money by way of ICD, which is very small portion of our business. Now, from journey perspective, I guess last 2 years have been extremely good for us with reference to how our business has grown. The quality of portfolio has been significantly better, and AUM built up has been consistently growing up. Especially it is a segment where the loans are little longer duration. Let us say 5 to 7 years loan when you do secured business loans, so the repayments are little slower in a way. So your portfolio build is very good in that sense. We have got good amount of support from larger NBFC who have been our senior partners in this journey, like larger NBFC, Bajaj Finance, Euro Capital, etc., and some home finance company as well. So it's a mix from, I will say the first half of the journey was a bit difficult, but post that it has been quite a good journey from our side. We are focused only and only on MSME. We don't do any other segment. We do a little bit of electric vehicles, EV loans also, which is largely in, I will say, UP or MP states. These are the 2 segments we currently are doing.
Okay, so thank you so much. I think you have given a lot of insights about your journey and your funding sources also, and you are very innovative. I can see it actually.
Yeah.
So the one question which is there always when I'm meeting, because Resurgent India, we are helping a lot to the NBFC, which are small, mid, and large. So one question is always coming from the aspiring entrepreneurs or the people like you who were there in the banks or other NBFCs and they want to start their own setup. And every day I'm facing this question. They are saying that how much money I need before starting of NBFC. So this is a question everywhere actually, and people, somebody is saying 100 crore, somebody is saying 50 crore, somebody is saying 50 crore. But you know that also when you are in job, you can't have this much of money actually.
Yes.
So we would like to, I think, understand from you because you have told that you have done the term loan model is not a scalable model actually, and the BC, which is one of the area where you have entered and all. So would you like to give some advice or some guidance to the people who are willing to come into this business, whether they need 100 crore of capital or they need the larger capital, or they can start with the minimum capital and they can adopt the model which you have actually, and how scalable it is, how costly it is also, what are the benefits of this? If you can cover up within 2-3 minutes, I think this will be helpful.
Ashish, very good and important question, and this is very relatable to my experience. And let me say this, when I started in 2016-17, that time there were some more NBFC started. They started with a 2 crore rupees capital. And those people were, I will say, quick enough to raise money from the market. So initially, I also thought that maybe 2 crore rupees capital in that time was good enough to start NBFC operations. But thankfully, I had good friends in Northern Arc, IFMR that time, and AU Bank. That time, AU was the NBFC. They said, no, Ashok, you don't start with 2 crore. Better you start with a between 5 to 10 crore rupees capital. That will be a bit comfortable. So we started with around 7 crore rupees capital. So from that parameter, it was a good capital. But now if I really look back and see what challenges I faced when we started, especially a situation like ILFS, where ALM focus was a lot and all, I think you can start maybe with the 5 to 10 crore rupees. Now anyway, an RBI requirement by March 27 will be minimum 10 crore rupees net worth. And if you are going for a new license, they will not give you license unless you have 10 crore. So without saying anything, you need 10 crore rupees. But my personal view is that even if you start with 10 crore rupees, you must have absolute clarity that you will be able to have a net worth of at least 25 crore rupees. There is lot of struggle if you do not have that kind of a capital. The moment you start business, people will also, and you go outside to raise debt, you want to get rated, you want to look at profitability, then that 10 crore rupees capital will not be sufficient and will not, you will have to struggle a little more to scale up the business. Second aspect which I have understood, and in fact, we are not able to get rating so far because we know that we will not get a good rating, at least investment rating, unless there are three things which every rating agency will ask you. Your capital base of, let's say, 20-25 crore rupees, your AUM of 100 crore rupees, and profitability. These are the three things which any rating agency will look when you go for any kind of debt. Now, there are certain NBFC companies who are supportive to early stage NBFC companies, even with a smaller capital base or smaller AUM base, but then they are little expensive. So you can start with them. But if you go for bank, any kind of bank or larger NBFC, they have their criteria with reference to these three parameters: NOF, AUM, profitability. So even if you consider new age private sector bank, you consider larger NBFC company, they will also look at this. So it becomes difficult to scale up and raise money from outside. These sources which I mentioned in the beginning, if you want to go for a BC, if you want to raise NCD, so it will be difficult. So I'm not saying that day one you should have 25 crore rupees, but you should have absolute clarity that this much money is available and you will be able to raise. This is important. Second thing is, it's also important that what we did initially, we were not going for co-lending or BC. I think it makes sense to start all the three channels in the beginning and do some experiment by raising money by way of other tools like NCD, CCD. We are not really very large in size. We have not raised any money from any DFI. We have not raised any ECB. We have not done any CP. We have not done PTCs. So there are a lot more instruments which we have not done, largely because people will look for slightly better size. So you will be able to raise term loan from certain maybe 3 or 5 NBFCs if your size is smaller. Banks will be difficult unless you are meeting those 2-3 criteria. So look at these things. Second aspect, which is not necessarily related to capital, but also related to product and diversification. when we started, and I was very confident that we have picked up very unique market, which was not being touched by, I will say, new age fintech sector. We were doing, let's say, old Delhi area where cash flow is very high, but they were not so much digital. But then we got skewed to one particular location or geography or business type. So it's good that you are bit diversified. I will not say you start all India, but start 3, 4, 5 different locations which are not dependent on each other. And maybe at least 2 products, not one product, maybe 2 products within the, let's say if I'm doing MSME, maybe within MSME 2 segments, but at least have 2 diversified segments, so that even if there is any challenge, at least one segment will help you to keep growing. So this is my view on the size which you asked for.
Thank you, Ashokji. I think 25 crore is the minimum size which you are predicting in the today's market. It should be there. But this VC model can help you to have the larger book and the advantage of that. Thank you very much. I'll come back to you after the other panel deliberation. So thank you once again, sir. So friends, we have Durgeshwar Mishra ji. Durgeshwar ji is a well-known figure. He was running an MFI, then he started his own venture also, and he doing wonderful. So Durgeshwar ji, first of all, welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
Joining with us. We are good friends the last many years. So Durgeshwar ji, I think the people waiting to listen you about your journey actually. How was this journey in last 20-25 years? And whatever the learnings you have in the past working and all, and how you are implementing these learnings in the organization. And as Sokji has also told, he is using innovative funding tools for the growth of the organization. So if you can give us some guidance on your funding thought process on the funding side, or the innovative funding models and all, basically. So over to you, and thank you very much, Durgeshwar.
Thank you very much. So I started my career as a job in the field of finance, where I was serving people to help them to get some money. So there was a bank and that won Nobel Prize, Grameen Bank, and we replicated that model in India, and that is now microfinance institution. That is the outcome of the microfinance institution, or the outcome of that model. So I was fortunate enough to grow with industry, and I have seen all the challenges what we have discussed. So there was a time when building 1 crore portfolio, it was taking more than 2 to 4 years. So all big entities, now they are bank or some big merge with big banks. We have seen that they build their portfolio, first 2 crore portfolio in 4 years, because there was no certainty, there was no vintage of this kind of unsecured lending, and a few geography was so restricted that no bank wanted to lend anything in that geography. So only few metros like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, and few are left. So we have seen all the phases where bank they don't, so all the savings and everything from across the world was getting deployment in the few pocket of the country. So, but the need for the money for every business, it was very much required, and RBI in encouragement on the financial inclusion fuel up this growth, and bank they almost they were forced to lend in this geography, and that's how the whole ecosystem evolved. So initially there was, like deposit taking NBFC was there, and in 90s, it was they played a bad role in the society, and so that point of time RBI was very cautious about NBFC. So bank we are not lending not NBFC in that way. So it was a very difficult time. Although a few institutions they started coming in like foreign institution, and it was mainly on the basis of priority sector and financial inclusion lending. And that's how the new private bank like HDFC, ICICI Axis at that point of time, because they had to had some portfolio in the geography, so they started supporting. So I have seen all the phases. I was responsible for fundraising in my last two assignment, and I have experienced the fundraising challenges and instrument. When I founded this Subhlakshmi, and we came up with a mindset that we want to cater customer who are graduating from their microfinance activities and they need little higher amount. This was again a new sort of thing because in last 20-25 years, microfinance became a sort of safe game now. It is priority sector fully. Bank and RBI has recognized them. But we have chosen this product and that is really difficult. So they say, okay, under microfinance, you can lend up to 40-50,000, but you are lending above 1 lakh. How you are so sure that unsecured loan will come back? So if you talk about rating agency, they will say it's your is different because it's not JLG and JLG is okay. They never take that advantage that the same customer they have paid 3 to 4 times in the past with microfinance institution. So every level you will face challenge. So we have decided we would like to cater the missing middle who are graduating from microfinance and bank other institution they are not supporting them. So Subhlakshmi is in that domain. We have started little small ticket secure loan and electric vehicle as well. We are doing well, and we do cattle loan for milk buffalo and all. So majorly we have 4 products, and we have presence in 7 states with 110 branches and more than 80,000 customer, more than 700 staff. But still struggling, I would say that the phase, our net worth is more than 52 crore, and we wanted to grow because certain new regulation, the rating requirement, the new domain, like if we would have microfinance institution license, there is a different treatment. So just to respond, Ashish ji, the funding instrument, resources, and the challenges. So as Ashokji has rightly mentioned that funding are the same. Size is the matter. Which funding you can attract, it depends on certain things. Either you have parenting rating, either you have very big capital, either you have very good sort of track record. It all depends. Instrument and everything is decide. It link with your size and asset size and rating. So for smaller entities up to 100 crore capital, there are certain institutions who will lend you. Number one, NBFC. A few small finance bank can come and support you in initial 3-4 years. Only NBFC can do, and they will not give you term loan initially. They will try to appoint you either as a their DSA, business correspondent, whatever you want. They want to grow their book and they want to utilize. The cost of borrowing you cannot talk about. You don't have any choice. You have to. They can come up with so many restrictions like guarantee, personal guarantee, share pledging, everything. So be ready for all. If you are going to start any entity, you don't think until a size you are going to dictate anyone, not to your staff, not to your investor, not to your lender. So you have to think that how we need to build the book. So one good thing has happened. A few small finance bank, they have started making BCs. If you are having a good track record in your past, you can get a good relationship, and that will help you to reach up to that limit. Because initial instrument, you can borrow from your friend as in form of NCD. You can take advantage of your friend under friend family under equity, all the debenture, all the CCPS, any instrument. But the growth capital, until unless you have growth capital and a size, it's not easy to get timely liquidity. Bank, they have their own requirement. So top 10 bank, they are not going to lend you anyway. In few like in COVID phase, there was a window when government has insisted banks to support NBFC to save them. And then my SBI and NABARD, they came. But again, they are very cautious about lending to NBFC because of the new guideline of RBI on unsecured lending and other lending.
Thank
No
you.
doubt,
Yes, sir. Sorry. Yeah, please.
no doubt, the big NBFC, they are supporting smaller NBFC. They are getting fund from banks only, or they have big NCD, foreign NCD, and other instrument. So that indirectly they are supporting, but direct lending at reasonable rate, it is very difficult until unless you achieve a size. For us, like in last 7 years, we have been 6 year, we are profitable in 6 year in a row. But getting good rating is not easy. Bank have their parameter of rating that until unless you are A, we are not going to touch you. If you foreign NCD, they will say that if your size is below this, own book size is below this, we cannot issue NCD for you. So you have very limited friend, family, and some retail investor that is now evolving.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You are saying something.
Thank you. Thank you, Durgeshwar ji. I think first of all, beggars are not choosers. I think you have given that lessons actually. So don't take it otherwise. But as you told that whenever you are starting the NBFC and you need money, actually they will ask everything. They will ask personal guarantee. They will ask rate of interest, higher rate of interest, everything basically. But that is the model which has been built up actually. If you see, not only you basically, the many NBFC which have started in initial years also, they have followed that same model where they have taken money little costly and they have built up the business also. And they have grown, and once they have become the certain size company, then they have started negotiating hard with the lenders actually. So this is not in your industry or not in NBFC, because as Resurgent India, we work with other industries also. This is same everywhere actually. So practically, because you see the lenders are living in their different or a different world actually. So they always think they want the AAA company and the price of triple B actually. So this is a major I think challenge. But that's why that people need people require the company like Resurgent India to bridge the gap in between actually, because we understand, we have professionals, we work with on daily basis with the banks and the lender and investor community, that how we can bridge that gap actually. So you are rightly told, and actually, I'm very well thankful to you that you have given with the example with the core of heart. What is the real situation on the ground? Actually, ground zero reality you have given. Ashok ji has also given that this minimum this much of funding is required and all. But you have given the challenges which are required actually. So anybody who is coming to the business, he should or she should not think of that I'll become the very large NBFC within a year or 2 year actually. They should have this mind that some gestation should be there. So that's good. One question which would like to ask from you basically in this current era, where the interest rates are, I think, one of the key aspects which everybody discussing because you are into the lending business. So the interest cost is one of the major costs in your entire balance sheet actually. So how do you think that the future of this interest rate cycle, whether it will go down, go up, whether and what how much time you are seeing that this will change also. And what is your expectation about the interest rate cycle? Because you are having vast experience of 25 years, you have seen ups and downs in various interest rate cycles in various scenarios also. So over to you.
Oh, responding to your query, like after COVID, during COVID phase, it got reduced by 2021, the base rate and like mm, there is an increase of 2.4 percent, 240 basis point after 2021. And RBI is keeping unchanged in last 3-4 monetary policy. So I feel it will take another quarter, like by September quarter, I feel that there would be certain drop in the interest rate because of certain thing.
Okay.
But I'm not sure, but I feel the two-way, the whole thing is going two-way. One, like the money is not coming into bank account. It's going in other instrument. People are not depositing in bank. So if we are talking about bank money, bank, they are increasing their interest rate to get customer. Like last week, I heard SBI has come up with some attractive interest rate. But still, I feel that after September quarter, there should be a slight decrease in the interest rate because the end use customer and a few industry like NBFC, we are at the very, very higher level. We cannot go beyond a certain limit. So I have a hope, and other instrument will for sure slow down reduce down the interest rate in my view.
Okay. So you are saying that in the near future there may be this reduction in the interest rate, but again the question is that whether it will be passed on to the industry or not actually, because when interest rates are rising, every time you are seeing that the banks are very prompt to increase the interest rates actually, the MCLR and all. But when it is going down, it is impacting. I think that takes too much time actually.
So in my view, if RBI is easing, banks are bound to pass that into customer level.
Okay, great, sir. So thank you very much, Durgeshwar ji.
Thank you very much.
Very, very important actually, and we'll come back to you if time will permit. Now, friends, now we have Mr. Vijender Shekhawat ji, who is the CEO and Director of Choice FinSubs. Choice FinSubs is again an NBFC, and Vijender ji is also having very vast experience. So I will say I have Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh in today's webinar. They have to decide who is Brahma, who is Vishnu, and who is Mahesh. But all these three are having very vast experience of 25, 30 years, work in the industry from the ground zero. They have seen and they have built up the organization. So you were the part of AU and you built up the AU small AU NBFC to AU small bank and the largest small bank in the country. Now in the new avatar, you are working with you are the CEO of this company called Choice FinSub. So, Vijender ji, would like to understand from you your journey basically this entire career, and how you are seeing the difference of the your own journey in Choice FinServe. So it will be helpful that people will connect with you. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ashish, for inviting and giving the opportunity to speak with the people and then,
And one more
discuss
thing,
my.
also, I'm interrupting you. How different are you from the different other NBFs in terms of portfolio and all? I think you are doing something innovative portfolio, which will be helpful to know.
I'll definitely cover that. Definitely cover that. Yeah. So, so in terms of my journey, I think, uh, the difference between when you are doing job or, you work as an employee and then you shift to your own business, right? I think there is a huge difference between both of these, correct? Not only in terms of the money and all these, but specifically in terms of the responsibility, ownership, and specifically the patient. With me, the fortunate part is that I was with the India's largest small finance bank, and AU was known for aggressive, building the bank as such, and the NBFC also. So aggression was the major part in the AU. So definitely that's there in my DNA also, because I worked with the person like that, Mr. Sanjay Agrawal. What I see, sir, in the change of my journey is that, today when anybody who wanted to start from, the employee to his own journey as an NBFC, I think three major things which has to be, discussed and finalized first before you coming to, start your own NBFC. The first and foremost is that, uh, when you are building at the initial stage, uh, it's not like that, as you are building your own business, so there will be an little, the difference in your efforts and your hard work. Normally people think that, in your own business the hard work is less than the job and all this. It's not like that. It always your responsibility, ownership and everything increase when you start your own business. And specifically मेरा ये मानना है सर प्योरली दैट इफ यू आर स्टार्टिंग योर ओन, तो तैयार रहें कि आपकी नींद उड़ने वाली है। आप ना दिन में सो पाओगे, ना रात में सो पाओगे, ना छुट्टी कर पाओगे, ना फैमिली के साथ रह पाओगे। ये थोड़ा इनिशियल ईयर्स में बहुत जरूरी हो जाता है। इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट बिकॉज इट्स योर ओन बिजनेस, बट अगर आपके ड्रीम्स और आपके सपने वो हैं कि आपको एक बड़ी कंपनी बनना है, आपको एक बड़ा एंटरप्रेन्योर बनना है, तो ये सब चीजें साथ में आती है, करेक्ट? सो दैट इज फर्स्ट वन, दैट आर यू रेडी टू फेस दो चैलेंजेस? क्योंकि जब जॉब में आप होते हो तो आप घर टाइम से भी चले जाया करते थे, बट इधर थोड़ा डिफरेंट है, राइट? दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अ न्यू एंटरप्रेन्योर, and I also faced that. To be very frank, I also faced that, correct? The second is the what is the level of money you have, right? कितना अमाउंट, जैसे अशोक जी ने भी अभी बताया, दिस इज वेरी मच रिक्वायर्ड नाउ। वो जमाने चले गए सर जब 2 करोड़ 5 करोड़ से एनबीएफसी स्टार्ट करते थे एंड धीरे धीरे बिल्ड करते थे। अभी बिकॉज ऑफ द कंपटीशन एंड अदर थिंग्स, आपके पास एक कैपिटल बेस मजबूत होना बहुत जरूरी है, राइट? इवन मेरा पर्सनली मानना है कि हालांकि आरबीआई ने 10 करोड़ का लिमिट रखा है, बट 10 करोड़ भी बहुत कम रहता है, राइट? और आपका अगर माइंडसेट ये है कि दैट आई वांटेड टू बिल्ड 1000 करोड़ और 2000 करोड़ काइंड ऑफ अ कंपनी इन नेक्स्ट 5 ईयर, then definitely you need to think that, do you have that kind of a capital with you, right? And it's not like that you have that capital or not. There are so many people available today. They are looking for good professionals who can build the organization, and they can support them in the investment, in the initial investment also, right? So in India there are so many business houses today. If you see, who are not in the financial service industry as of now, even the manufacturer industries, people are looking for professionals who can build the NBFC, right? So you can now, then important is that you need to have that kind of a connect in the industry. So if you have the experience, you have that courage and the capacity to build the organization, people will support you in the initial funding. That is also available, correct? But yes, as such, some skin has to be involved by the by that person also, correct? That is second thing. Third, what I think is that before even starting the NBFC or any organization, the first thing you need to decide the customer segment to whom you will cater, right? Normally, people made mistake that once they got the license, then they start thinking that abhi ye kar lete hain, wo kar lete hain, ye kar lete hain. But I think this has to be decided first, and then you should only apply for the license, correct? The major thing which I can give you as a suggestion to the newer entrepreneurs, because I am the youngest entrepreneur as such, to be very frank, with just 2 years back I started this company. So अगर पिछले 5-6 साल का जर्नी हम देखते हैं, स्पेसिफिकली इन द फाइनेंशियल इंडस्ट्री, फिनटेक करके एक बहुत बड़ा डिसरप्शन इंडस्ट्री में आया, एंड अदर देन डिसरप्शन, थोड़ा सा पूरा का पूरा माइंडसेट ऑफ द इन्वेस्टर एज वेल एज द एंटरप्रेन्योर वो पूरा चेंज हो गया. मतलब एक जमाना था जब 25-25 साल बाद में कंपनियां बनती थी और एक दिखता था कि कंपनी ने कुछ वैल्यू बनाई है, और एक पिछले 5-10 साल का जमाना हमने देखा जहां पे 3 साल 5 साल में एक कंपनी 10 करोड़ से लेके और एक यूनिकॉर्न बन गई, राइट? बिकॉज ऑफ फिनटेक, बिकॉज ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी एंड ऑल दिस थिंग. कई बार क्या होता है कि हम जब अपना बिजनेस स्टार्ट करते हैं तो हम वो सोच के आ जाते हैं कि नहीं मैं तो 5 साल में यूनिकॉर्न बना दूंगा, करेक्ट? उससे ग्रस्त नहीं हुए, मेरा ये सजेशन है. यू शुड फोकस ऑन योर कंपनी टू बिल्ड instead of focusing on creating the value on initially 3-4 years, right? Because जैसे हम माइंड में ये रख लेते हैं कि मैं 5,000 करोड़ या 10,000 करोड़ की वैल्यूएशन की कंपनी बनाना चाहता हूं, वो इमीडिएटली आपको आपका जो डायरेक्शन है उसको बहुत चेंज कर सकता है, आप रॉन्ग वे में जा सकते हैं, राइट? सो वो मेरा सजेशन हमेशा एक यंग एंटरप्रेन्योर को रहेगा कि आपको ये डिसाइड करना है कि आप किस कस्टमर सेगमेंट में जाना चाह रहे हो. और इनिशियली, बिकॉज एनबीएफसी जो बिजनेस है, लेंडिंग बिजनेस, पेशेंस का बिजनेस है. अगर आप में पेशेंस नहीं है तो आपको ये बिजनेस नहीं करना चाहिए. इज दी कलेक्शन, राइट? आप पहले ये सोच लें कि आप कलेक्शन करने में कैपेबल हो कि नहीं. ये बिल्कुल नहीं सोचे कि मेरे पास पैसा है या मैं इन्वेस्टर से पैसा ले आऊंगा और कल जाके मैं 5 आदमी अपॉइंट कर लूंगा जो मेरे लिए कलेक्शन करेंगे. सो यू आर रोंग. पहले, सबसे पहले आपको क्या कलेक्शन करना आता है वो आप खुद डिसाइड करना चाहिए. और आपको अगर कलेक्शन करना आता है, बिकॉज सी दिस इज अ रिटेल काइंड ऑफ अ बिजनेस, राइट? और रिटेल बिजनेस में 24 घंटे काम होता है, पूरे 7 दिन काम होता है, करेक्ट? तो आप वो करते हो तभी आपका कलेक्शन स्ट्रॉन्ग रह सकता है. तो अगर आप खुद कलेक्शन करने में कैपेबल हो तो ही आपको ये बिजनेस स्टार्ट करना चाहिए, करेक्ट? सो टू बी वेरी फ्रैंक, in last 2 years, because I am the fortunate one, when I got a good capital base at the initial stage itself. We have a capital of around 250 crore as of now in our NBFC. So I got a good investor as such, right? So even before I came on board to this company, first initial 6 months, I thought and decided that which kind of a customer segment I'll cater to and what should be the solution which I'll offer to them, right? Because traditionally, everybody is doing, the MSME loan, vehicle loan, and all these. But within that, is there any scope to give a different kind of a solution, or is there any new, industry which is coming up where we can add the funding? Correct. So initial 6 months, I decided, and then I met with so many industry people, right? Even I met Ashok ji and all these people, that what was their journey, correct? Because I was coming as a new in this industry as an entrepreneur, so there might be some possibilities that जिन्होंने पहले स्टार्ट किया कुछ गलतियां हुई होगी जिनको मैं वापस रिपीट नहीं करूं. तो वो आपके लिए इनिशियल 6 महीने का रिसर्च बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है और मैं यही सजेस्ट करूंगा जो नया कोई एनबीएफसी जिन्होंने स्टार्ट करिए करना चाह रहे हैं, इनिशियल 6 मंथ या 1 साल आपको सबसे पहले अपना जो रिसर्च में गुजारना चाहिए, क्योंकि हमको ऐसा लगता है कई बार कि हमने 20 साल 25 साल ये बैंक बना दिया, वो एनबीएफसी बना दी, तो मैं तो कर दूंगा, बट ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है। क्योंकि जैसे आप अपना स्टार्ट करोगे एकदम 360 डिग्री चेंज होने वाला है। जैसे अभी सर ने बोला था कि जैसे ही आप अपनी एनबीएफसी में आते हो, ना आपका कंट्रोल एम्प्लॉय पे है, ना आपका बैंकर्स पे है, मतलब यू आर ऑन ऑन डिफरेंट स्टेज, राइट। और एवरीडे फील होगा कि मेरा ये डिसीजन सही था या गलत था, क्योंकि सी जॉब और इसमें हमेशा ये डिफरेंस आपको कंपेरिजन अपने आप में करने लग जाते हो कि मैं तो वहां पे अच्छा भला महीने का पैसा आ रहा था, नींद भी बढ़िया आ रही थी, सब हो रहा था, दैट विल कम, राइट। बट यू हैव टू बी फाइटर, आपको वो फाइटर बनना पड़ेगा, राइट। चैलेंजेस बहुत सारे आने वाले हैं, मतलब जो हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं ये चैलेंजेस बहुत, मतलब 10% डिस्कस करें टू बी वेरी फ्रैंक इन प्रैक्टिकल वे, राइट। बट वो चैलेंजेस अगर आप रेडी रहते हो, यू कैन बिल्ड अ गुड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। So as a company, we are doing different product, especially even in the the secured MSME lab also, or the offering to the customer is very different. We are the one-stop solution for the MSME customer, where not only the term loan, even through us, an MSME customer can get any kind of lending during their journey of the business, start from their न्यू जर्नी। अगर किसी को बिजनेस एस्टेब्लिश करना है, वहां से कैपिटल फंडिंग से लेके और पूरी जर्नी में अगर उनको सपोज कोई वर्किंग कैपिटल चाहिए, दे कैन अवेल फ्रॉम अस। इफ दे वांट एनी मशीन काइंड ऑफ अ लोन, दे कैन गेट फ्रॉम अस। सपोज उनका इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल ज्यादा आ रहा है, सोलर फाइनेंसिंग चाहिए, दे कैन गेट फ्रॉम अस। सो पूरे एमएसएमई की जर्नी में अगर किसी भी तरह का कोई लेंडिंग का रिक्वायरमेंट, फाइनेंसिंग का रिक्वायरमेंट रहता है, वी आर देयर। एंड all those products we are offering in a single mobile app which we build in last so many years. So in single click of the button, there are multiple offers coming to a single MSME customer, and customer can go and choose any of the requirement, or he can choose a multiple options also, right? So this is what a different thing which we built for the MSME customer. And then specifically, we all know that the new era of business is coming from solar and renewable energy, right? This is something which is really a good next level of industry which is building up in India, right? So we started in that space also. So not only the MSME, but yes, for the residential customers also we are doing the solar financing, and commercial way may we are also doing to MSME SSI unit, we are doing the financing, right? And this is also through the technology. And in the solar specifically, we are not just a funder, we are not just a lender. We manage the end-to-end ecosystem of the solar system to whom we are funding. So we are monitoring the installation of that customer, we are monitoring the AMC part of the customer, the cleaning part of the customer, repair maintenance part of the customer. And we built an partnership with a few of the people where real time we are getting the data of energy building, right? What level of energy that particular plant is generating for the customer, right? And then we are also provided the the AMC part to the customer. So for customer, on the click of the button, he can avail the services of cleaning, repair, maintenance, everything, even through us only, correct? So in the solar specifically, we wanted to create a different kind of a book in the next 5 years, right? So these are the two solutions we are giving to the customers in India as of now. Currently, in last 2 years, we disbursed almost 500 crore rupees, right? And our loan book is around 500 crore as of now, right? And this year onward, let's see, we are thinking to reach 2000 crore. So this is what is the journey till now for me. And during this journey, because as I told, I was the fortunate enough that I was having a good capital base. So from the taking the loans from banks and NBFCs, this was become easy for us, right? And frankly saying, we are able to raise the fund on a good rate, right? Our cost of funding is just 12.5 as of now. So at the initial stage, 1.5 is very much a good rate for any of the NBFC. And we also we are not dependent on banks and NBFC funding, to be very frank, because from day one itself we are raising the NCD because of our group support, right? And we are also doing the securitization. We already completed around 3-4 transactions for the PTC and the direct assignment as such. And then the co-lending and BC is really, really a ramban for the smaller NBFC now, to be very frank with you, right? Because co-lending and BC ke what different benefits hai. So we are also doing the co-lending and BC with multiple NBFCs and banks, right? So this is how we are purely an diversified kind of a funding source with us. So this is what is Janni. Thanks, Ashish.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I think you have spoken with the core of heart, actually. Lot of things, lot of insights you have given, and they useful, I think, for our audience also. So, Vijender I think one thing which you have told in your discussion, that you are lending to the climate sector, actually. So, and another thing which you had told, that this lenders, basically, whatever the collection is important rather than the lending, actually. So I always say to the people also that it's a collection business, it's not a lending business, actually.
Right.
So if you are successful in collection, then lending can also be done better. But this climate financing, which is a new subject, and you know that India has also announced a net zero target by 2070, and our Prime Minister is also focusing a lot, actually. What do you think that the funding which you are taking, are you getting any advantage of this portfolio which you are making in terms of funding cost, availability of funding, or do you expect, do you think, or do you have any expectation from the regulator or from the government that when you are helping this climate change, what should be the your expectation in terms of the funding from the different sources? If you can cover on that, I think that will be helpful.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, definitely. See, the climate product as on today is the subject of Indian government, to be very frank, right? Because we all know that the environment and the carbon where India is as on today. So this is the focus product of the existing government also, and we all know that in the next government also this will be a focus product from the government side, right? Even because of that, there is a mandate to each of the bank from the government side also. It's not on written, but in any of the discussion with the government by these PSU bank and private bank, government is now giving mandate to all those banks that you have to fund climate related products now, specifically the solar and EV, right? And we all know that all these PSU bank and existing banks, they cannot reach to the customers, the place. That's where we all NBFCs are there, because we are providing this service at the customer place. उनके घर पे जाके हम लोग सर्विस देते हैं. So because of the mandate to all these banks, I think the solar financing or EV financing is in demand as of now, even by the banks and multiple NBFCs. Other than the government mandate, even when you are doing the climate funding, there are other benefits of that also, because this is आप अपनी बैलेंस शीट में एक बहुत अलग से एक इम्पैक्ट creating kind of product दिखा सकते हो. There are so many benefits of that, and then ultimately it's a PSL, right? So प्राइवेट सेक्टर लेंडिंग में भी ऑलरेडी क्वालिफाई होता है, बिकॉज आप MSME को कर रहे हो तो वो तो एनीवेज प्राइवेट सेक्टर लेंडिंग है. And residential may also up to 10 lakh is comes under the PSL guideline, correct? So because of these two reasons, one is sub bank ko karna hai, but they cannot reach to that customer, and second ye PSL hai. So because of that, this product is really in demand. But the problem is, it's not like last 1-2 साल में जब से हमने किया है ये प्रोडक्ट कि हमने गलतियां नहीं करी है. Yes, we made mistake, we learned lot of things from that, and इस प्रोडक्ट में स्पेसिफिकली जो रिस्क एंड कंट्रोल जो एक फंडर के पास, जो एक फाइनेंसर के पास होना चाहिए, बिकॉज ऑफ दैट रीजन I think so many banks and NBFCs are not entering into this business because इसका अपना एक risk control separately build करना बहुत जरूरी है, and because this is an engineering product, correct, and your dependency is purely on the installer, those called as EPC in this segment. So your dependency is on only on these installers. So those EPCs installers are not like a dealer of vehicle. They are very small, correct? So you cannot believe 100% on those. So because of that, you yourself has to build your risk and control mechanism. So why we are getting back to back funding, especially on the solar now, is because we build our own end to end ecosystem, which I was talking to you. We have a control on the installation, we have the control on the energy building, we have the control on the the repair maintenance, the cleaning of this, right? And then we also building the market for the second hand solar panels now, right? Because ultimately after 4 or 5 years this market will also come, but we are building this from day one itself, correct? So, and all these services we are giving to the lending partner also. So any bank or NBFC who wanted to do the co-lending with us for the solar, we are giving all these services to them also, where they can real time track the energy which is built by a particular plant, right? So because of that, frankly saying, today for us, instead of MSME, the lenders, the partners whom we raise the fund, they are more keen on the solar funding instead of MSME funding, right? Why? Because MSME funding, so there are lots of NBFCs are available. They can build the book from them. But for the solar specifically, there are limited player available today, and with these controls, people are not available. So that is the reason we have a good demand for the PSL, frankly saying. And yes, because of the priority sector lending, we are getting the benefit in the interest rate also, correct? So as of now, I think we are already started around 4 partnership on the co-lending, especially on the solar, right? And इसमें अच्छी बात यह है कि हमें जाना नहीं पड़ रहा है, पीपल आर कमिंग टू अस नाउ कि सोलर में हमको कुछ करना है तो आपके साथ मिलके कर सकते हैं, करेक्ट? सो दिस इज रियली अ फैंटास्टिक प्रोडक्ट, टू बी वेरी फ्रैंक, फॉर द न्यूअर एज NBFCs. But yes, for that, first again I am saying you should do your research for at least 3-4 months that what is that product, because अपने को lending आता है but solar नहीं आता है, राइट? तो सोलर एक इंजीनियरिंग प्रोडक्ट है, उसको समझना सीखना बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज ये अल्टीमेटली एसेट फंडिंग है. तो वो जो एसेट को फंड कर रहे हो उसको अगर समझ जाओगे तो आप इसको बहुत अच्छे से काम कर सकते हो. एंड वी आर ऑलवेज रेडी टू गिव एनी काइंड ऑफ अ सजेशन, सॉल्यूशन, और द हैंड होल्डिंग टू द पीपल हु वांटेड टू स्टार्ट द सोलर फाइनेंसिंग, राइट? बिकॉज अभी हम कम से कम नहीं तो 8-10 NBFC और 5 बैंक्स का प्रोडक्ट बनवा रहे हैं सोलर का, बिकॉज वो हमारे साथ करे तो हमने उनको ऑफर किया कि हम आपका प्रोडक्ट बना के देते हैं एंड यू कैन स्टार्ट विद अस, राइट? सो I think that's my answer to your question.
It's a lot of traction is there as per you in the solar or climate funding actually, and you are getting partners, lending partners or co-lending partners. Those are very much willing, so that for the new entrepreneurs or for the NBFCs which are into the lending business, for them it can be a good product portfolio where the funding, because our topic is related to funding today actually, so funding may not be a challenge actually because institutions are gearing up. And hopefully there will not be any challenge in the future for the funding of the climate financing, and the demand is also there. So great, sir. I think this will be helpful to all of our audience also. And last piece, which I think NCD, because Ashokji has also told, you also told, NCD is one of the tool through private placement or public placement and all. Would you like to give some highlight basically for the NBFCs whenever they want to raise NCDs? How they can go for the raising NCD, whether the pricing of the NCD is higher than the other borrowing, or what are the other benefits and the challenges of the NCD funding actually. If you can cover up maybe all of you three into 3 minutes, I think that will be helpful. Because bank funding, as you rightly told, there are a threshold limit in terms of rating, in terms of portfolio size and all. This can be a good tool for the NBFC for raising money and deploying money to the small borrowers in the rural areas or semi-urban areas. So if you can cover up this in detail, that will be helpful
Yes.
for the NBFCs. Yeah, over to
So
you.
sir, I'll start first, I think.
Yeah.
अभी तक सर हमने जैसे 2 राउंड ऑफ एनसीडी रेज किया, फ्रेंकली सेइंग मेरा उसमें एक बहुत बड़ा लर्निंग है सर. लर्निंग इज दैट आज की डेट में फॉर अ रिटेल कस्टमर इन्वेस्टमेंट करने के लिए अगर हम लोग कोई प्रोडक्ट की बात करते हैं या कोई रिटेल इन्वेस्टर जब भी बात करता है तो उसके बाद 2-3 ऑप्शन होते हैं. एफडी सबसे पहले बात करता है बैंक की, राइट. दूसरा बात करता है तो कई बार गोल्ड की बात करता है, एंड थर्ड मैक्सिमम अभी म्यूचुअल फंड की बात करता है, राइट. एफडी और गोल्ड पिछले 50 साल से लोग इन्वेस्टमेंट करते हुए आ रहे हैं, हमको पता है. म्यूचुअल फंड आज से 15-20 साल पहले स्टार्ट हुआ, लेकिन हम सबको मालूम है सर कि आज से 5-7 साल पहले तक म्यूचुअल फंड में इतना बढ़िया अट्रैक्शन नहीं था. लेकिन इफ यू सी पिछले 5-10 साल में म्यूचुअल फंड ने जो अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करी है ऑन द रिटेल कस्टमर थ्रू द एडवर्टीजमेंट एंड थ्रू सो मेनी थिंग्स, कि म्यूचुअल फंड भी अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा डिफरेंट इन्वेस्टमेंट टूल है जिसमें आपको बहुत बढ़िया रिटर्न मिल सकती है एज अ रिटेल कस्टमर. एंड ब्यूटी इज कि उसमें आप 500 रुपए से भी इन्वेस्टमेंट चालू कर सकते हो, करेक्ट. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट अवेयरनेस टू द पीपल टुडे द म्यूचुअल फंड हैज बिकम ए वेरी गुड प्रोडक्ट फॉर द इन्वेस्टमेंट, एंड इवन बैंक से भी ज्यादा पैसा म्यूचुअल फंड में आ रहा है, राइट. आई थिंक वी ऑल एग्री ऑन दैट. But specifically, if you compare, even in NCD also, you are getting more returns than the FDs and all these. But the problem is NCD का awareness और NCD का जो promotion है वो इतना ज्यादा इंडिया में actually है ही नहीं, right? Nobody is saying that this is also a tool for your investment to the retail customer. I am saying, see, private placement and all this, there is limited market for that, right? But if we can reach to the retail investors, especially for the NCD, I think that can change a huge the portfolio for the NBFCs also, right? Because see, ultimately mutual fund का भी सबको पता है कि पैसा जाके कहाँ इन्वेस्ट हो रहा है. वो भी आ तो एनबीएफसी के पास भी रहा है, बाकी सब जगह, तो रिस्क तो उसमें भी है ही ना सर, राइट. सो अगर वो थोड़ा अवेयरनेस बढ़ाया जाए तो मुझे लगता है कि रिटेल एनसीडी से हम बहुत बड़ा पैसा रेज कर सकते हैं और सस्ता पैसा रेज कर सकते हैं. प्राइवेट प्लेसमेंट में हमेशा महंगा पैसा रेज करना पड़ता है सर एनसीडी में. मैंने सर 2 राउंड रेज किए और हमने प्योर रिटेल से किया, मतलब 1 लाख 2 लाख रुपए का खाली इन्वेस्टमेंट, राइट. और क्योंकि हमारे पास फॉर्चुनेटली रिटेल कस्टमर का बहुत बड़ा डेटाबेस एज ए ग्रुप है, तो जब हमने उनको रीच किया, आप बिलीव नहीं कीजिए सर, उनको अवेयरनेस नहीं थी. जैसे हमने एक अवेयरनेस दी उनको, एक 5-10 मिनट का उनके साथ डिस्कस करके किया, दे इन्वेस्टेड दैट, राइट. और वो जब इन्वेस्टमेंट आया तो बहुत सस्ता, मतलब हम इवन मेरा कॉस्ट ऑफ फंडिंग जो बैंक से रेज कर रहा हूं उससे मेरा 1-1.5% कम पे रेज हो रहा है, राइट. बिकॉज वो कस्टमर अभी एफडी में कर रहा था 6-7%, 8% का मैक्सिमम रिटर्न मिल रहा था, राइट. वहीं आप 10-11% रिटर्न देते हो और थोड़ी अवेयरनेस दे देते हो तो ऑब्वियसली इसका बहुत बड़ा बेनिफिट रेज हो सकता है. इवन सर दोनों ही राउंड में हमने अनलिस्टेड एंड अनरेटेड रेज किया है, मतलब दैट रिटेल कस्टमर इवन दे आर नॉट आस्किंग कि ये रेटेड है कि लिस्टेड है कि क्या है, राइट. सो वो अपॉर्चुनिटी बहुत बड़ी मार्केट में है. मेरा ऐसा पर्सनली मानना है कि अगर हम सारे लोग एनबीएफसी वाले मिलके अगर इसकी अवेयरनेस बहुत बढ़िया से लाइक म्यूचुअल फंड क्रिएट कर दें तो ये बहुत बड़ा मार्केट हमारे लिए बन सकता है फॉर फंडिंग. एंड जो हम बार बार बात कर रहे हैं कि बैंक की डिपेंडेंसी हटानी है, उसका एक सबसे बड़ा टूल ये बन सकता है. और अभी तो आरबीआई ने ऑब्वियसली एनसीडीज पे और भी बहुत अच्छे अच्छे सॉल्यूशंस दिए जा रहे हैं, राइट. रिटेल की लिमिट पे सब पे, तो आई थिंक वी शुड do that. This is what is my perception.
Very good sir, very good. I think आपने बहुत अच्छा टूल दे दिया है, because I think इस आज का स्टार्ट डिस्कशन यही है कि भाई NBFCs के लिए what is the additional tool, innovative tool for this current market. I think NCD is one of the area. So Ashok ji, Vijender ji has told it's a good tool. Rate is also less, but there is always a, I think, notion which is there in the mind of the people. Or RBI also, I think, RBI, IRIDA, or IMP and all always put that in the mind of the people that double A से नीचे नहीं करना है, because you said that whatever the benchmarks are there, even banks policies are there. So this has become a notion that double A से नीचे वाला NCD होगा तो I think वो सही नहीं. So what is your call on the risk on the NCD actually? Do you think that there is any risk of on the NCD for the investors when they are raising money through the unrated or maybe less low rated NBFCs? What is your thought process on that?
Ashish, I think very important point for all NBFCs. And we were together in some other program and we were talking about the same thing. I have similar views that there is a great opportunity for all NBFCs to raise money by bonds, which means NCDs or any other bonds. And there are these OBPP, online bond platform providers. Now there are around 20 of them which are approved, and they do listing of their NBFCs, listing of NCDs, so that people can, retail people can participate. I think it will make a lot of sense for NBFCs companies to create that awareness. और जैसे म्यूचुअल फंड सही है, वैसे ही बॉन्ड बढ़िया है. Kind of awareness should be created, can be created. There are already associations of NBFC companies who can and should take this kind of initiative to do this. My personal experience is whatever little bit of defaults have happened earlier, they are from larger NBFC companies and because of mismanagement. Similar to Vijender ji, we have raised multiple rounds of small quantity NCDs which are unlisted, unrated, private placement NCDs, and so far, thankfully, there has been never ever any delay or default. My sense is if we use these online bond platforms to raise money by way of NCDs, it is a great opportunity for all NBFC companies, and they must explore. उसमें थोड़ा सा हो सकता है they will also look for whether they're rated or not rated. So we can kind of convince them that they should give this opportunity to all the people, and there is a risk weightage which can be added by way of pricing. Surely lot of retail investors can come. Now we have to look at जो थोड़ी पहले वाली discussion भी हुई है कि whether this entire lending is a feature or as a product. So it has to be product. Nobody need to run around building a large AUM, build a good quality portfolio and demonstrate that your product profile, company management, everything is good, so that people invest in it. So I guess this is the way, and you cannot really depend only on banks or NBFC company to raise. Rather, alternative products are very good, attractive, and you can really grow your company by raising money from these retail investors.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Durgesha ji, I think one more thing, which is the last thing I believe in this discussion, which we would like to conclude the session. This ease of doing NCD actually, because this is another this thing from investor point of view, and mainly for investor point of view, now it is a click of button actually. So I think it's not a big challenge. But from the NBFC point of view, the ease of doing NCD or versus the bank loan, would you like to comment on that, and what are your views on that actually? You're on mute, sir.
I'm saying NCD, if you want to raise from some institution, it's equally challenging than the bank loan because they have certain restriction. Few NBFC, they are coming in this domain. But retail investment of NCD is quite easy, and on your relationship and your sort of comfort in the audience. There is a restriction of you cannot go raise more than 200 NCD. So if you are doing private placement, so it has to be maximum 200 securities, as per my understanding. And if it is listed, there is a lot of compliance which you need to follow. So it's becoming a little easier than the getting fund from banks, but you need to be very careful about the compliance and other aspect of the raising NCD. Certainly, it is going to be little cheaper or in terms of other terms and conditions. NCD is becoming really more attractive instrument for NBFC to grow.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think we had a
Thank
good
you.
session. I think our audience will tell us, although we may boast ourselves, but definitely the people who have attended will see the feedback. So all of the people who have joined here, I will request all of you to please give us the feedback, how we can improve and what are the views of the speakers. If you want to comment on that, I think it will be helpful. I hope you must have a lot of learnings about the multiple ways of raising funds by the NBFC, and our speakers has tried to give the complete information without hiding any information. They have given very very much transparently. It will be helpful to you. So in the last, I will say that there are traditional method of raising money which are already there, but there are challenges in that in this traditional method. So as a new NBFC or maybe the NBFC in the mid segment, you should try the new segments of the fundraising like VC partnership, co-lending, NCDs. These things might be helpful to grow faster, to get the funding at the faster pace. And then when you will become, then you can have the multiple channels like ECB, DFI funding, or maybe NCD, the larger NCD from the private institutions and all. So in nutshell, I will say the journey of NBFC is always a patient. I think we have to keep a lot of patience. And it's not like that we can grow the portfolio in one day. There are many things which you have to keep in mind, and we have to see the fund availability also. And that one of our panel speaker has told that it's a collection business, is not a lending business actually. So we should always keep eye on the collections, because if you are good in the collections, definitely you may have the better portfolio or better collection efficiency. So the funding as of today, if you see, funding is not a challenge. Only thing is that how you can raise funds and what kind of options which you have in your mind and how you approach the market. And if you see today, the NBFC may be small, but if you are going in the right mix of funding, definitely you can grow faster. There are many examples which are there. With the NBFC has become a small finance bank. If you have seen 12 NBFCs have become a small finance bank in a very short span of time. There are many NBFCs which are having larger book and they have grown like anything. So there are many examples like Bandhan Bank, Kotak Bank, and all the AU Bank, and then many other small finance banks. They were NBFCs actually. So they have grown and they have become banks actually. I think every entrepreneur who is starting NBFC, he has, I think, he aspire to become the bank. But you have to have a lot of patience also, and you have to have the right mix of the funding, which will help you to grow faster. Thank you very much. I believe everybody who has joined here will have more knowledge about the various funding options. And I would like to thank you to all the panel speakers, Ashok ji, Durgesh ji, and Vijender ji. All three are busy in their own journey actually, but in spite of it, they could get time. This shows their dedication towards the industry actually. So when you have earned from the industry, you have learned from the industry, you have to give back to the industry actually. So that is always helpful. I believe this session will be helpful to all of you, and thank you very much. And thank you once again to all of you. Thank you, Durgesh ji, Ashok ji, and Vijender ji. Thank you, audience, also for joining with us. Thank you, Resurgent India team, Devesh, and other people who have Ayush, and they have worked hard to make this successful. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you,
sir.
Ashish ji. You have been a very veteran in the industry, and you thank for giving us opportunity to discuss in the look forward.
No, sir. Thank you so much. This is because of all because of your support from you actually. Thank you very much. Thanks. Thanks. Sir.
Thanks.
Thanks everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mittal ji and Vijender ji.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
हम लोग बीच में बात करते हैं.
श्योर सर, श्योर सर. इवन सर ऑडियंस का अगर कोई सवाल रह गया हो, कोई, बिकॉज आज थोड़ा टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट था, हम Q&A नहीं कर पाए, तो कुछ भी कोई सवाल अगर आपके पास डायरेक्ट आता है, if you wanted to ask us, we'll definitely.
Sure, Vijender. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.